Senator Daines.
Chairman Crapo, thank you. Dr. Callahan, thank you for your years of service at USTR and your willingness to serve in this position. You will hit the ground running, which we need at this moment here on behalf of our producers across America. I do greatly appreciate the work you've done alongside Ambassador Greer, as well as President Trump, to put American agriculture at the forefront of these ongoing and encouraging trade negotiations that we're hearing about as we speak here over in Asia. Dr. Callahan, you were the Senior Director of Agricultural Affairs at USTR when we finally lifted the ban on beef with the China market and opened that China export market up to American producers in 2017. I remember well when I went over to China, brought along some wonderful steaks from one of my producers from the Miles City, Montana area, and gave them to the premier and told him this is the best beef in the world. In fact, I told him that Australian beef, which was in the market there, had a distinct kangaroo flavor. And he'll really enjoy when he finally gets to taste Montana beef and U.S. beef. By opening up that market, the second largest beef import market in the world, ranchers were able to export cuts that were not as valuable in the United States, but do that at a premium. And after years of negative margins, of drought, of challenges during COVID, Montana cattlemen have just started to finally turn a profit, finally be able to make their payments to the banks for the loans they have for some of the land that they own. This is a win for producers. It's also a win for consumers. Profitability helps ensure that we have a secure and durable food supply and will help grow our herd size that will bring down consumer costs over time. Enhanced export markets and not market distorting imports from Argentina are a large part of that equation. Unfortunately, China has put in place serious trade barriers and beef exports to China have plummeted since March. Foreign competitors, sadly, are filling that void in our absence, and they're undercutting our American ranchers. Dr. Callahan, are we making any progress in reopening the China market, the second largest beef export market in the world, or finding additional markets for U.S. beef?
Thank you, Senator Daines, for raising this very important issue and understand the imperative to continue to open and expand markets for U.S. beef. If confirmed, I am committed to reopening China's market to U.S. beef. China's behavior can be explained only with one word, and that's retaliation. And we have a lot of work to do at USTR to reverse the trend that has been in place for several years, as you're exactly right that in the early days, once the Phase 1 agreement was signed, I and the interagency worked diligently to ensure that China met its commitments, both the regulatory commitments and also pushing for those purchase commitments that were in the Phase 1 agreement. And I will say, during the first Trump administration, USTR provided a report to the president on a weekly basis of China's purchases under the Phase 1 agreement. Unfortunately, over the last several years, China has slid back and is not purchasing U.S. agricultural goods as they should. But if confirmed, I am committed to reversing that trend and rebuilding access to the Chinese market.
Dr. Callahan, thank you. And I remember distinctly then Senator David Perdue and I went to Beijing and we're helping President Trump and the administration finalize that Phase 1 trade deal. And I'm very happy to see now Senator Perdue as Ambassador Perdue on the ground there in Beijing. He understands the markets here and, of course, is a huge advocate for the president and his policies. I want to just close with Japan and South Korea. They are some of our staunchest allies in East Asia. They're also major purchasers of Montana wheat. Our wheat farmers are struggling. They tell me time and time again they need more access to the export markets. 95% of the world's consumers live outside the United States. The future of American agriculture is access to these markets. Dr. Callahan, has the U.S. wheat benefited in the recent framework agreement with Japan, and can we expect more positive results with South Korea?
Thank you, Senator Daines. In terms of our agreements on reciprocal trade negotiations, we're really pushing for 3 areas of progress. One is lowering tariffs on U.S. agricultural goods. The second is eliminating unjustified non-tariff barriers. Those are really the core areas of negotiation. And the third is seeking purchase commitments from countries that choose to do so. And U.S. wheat is one of the commodities that a number of countries are committing. They're signing MOUs with the private sector, making plans to import more U.S. wheat to benefit U.S. wheat growers. In terms of Japan and Korea in particular, we will be pressing them to ensure that there are no non-tariff barriers that are unjustifiably holding back purchases of U.S. wheat, and to promote further market access for those 2 countries as well. Thank you.
Dr. Callahan, thank you.